102.7. Welcome to the Breakfast Lounge, your daily talk show on 102.7 FM, featuring special guests with your host, Lady Grace. Now let's get started.
Welcome back, and we're about to get started here this morning in the Breakfast Lounge. And like I mentioned earlier this morning, we're talking about the hurricane season, of course, which we should start preparing for. The season, of course, started on June 1st, marking the official start of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. Now, this is the time of year when the ocean warms up and hurricanes become more likely. The peak for hurricane season is mid-August to mid-October. Hurricanes can cause havoc when they make landfall, especially for already storm-torn communities still struggling to rebuild. The Colorado State University released its outlook for this year's season in April, and the forecast showed predictions for a slightly above normal activity. Researchers weighed factors like the Atlantic's warm temperature and the absence of El Nino. So being prepared for whatever the season brings is key, and our team of meteorologists, one of them is here with us this morning, representing the St.Maarten Meteorological Department, is Miss Kashina Gordon. How you doing this morning? It's Kashina, right?
Yes, Karshina.
Karshina, I forgot the R. Yeah.
Yes, no problem.
Okay. Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing okay, not as well as can be due to the dust in the atmosphere. I'm a little under the weather. However, I'm good.
Let's talk a little bit about the dust because it was heavy over the past weekend and then earlier this week. There's still some slight dust out in the air today.
Yes, there's still light concentrations of Saharan dust over our region, and given that we're progressing in time over the next few months, we can expect an increase in Saharan dust incursions.
Okay. Let's talk about El Nino. That's basically the prediction for this year. And to explain in layman's term, El Nino y La Nina. La Nina, she's the fierce one, and El Nino seemed to be somewhat more, that I won't say relaxed, but less storms, so to speak.
Well,
less vicious storm or less hurricanes. So you're the meteorologist. You explain us exactly.
Yes, well, when there's an El Nino season, we normally experience a bit of suppression of tropical storm activities, which means that it helps to suppress the conditions that are favorable for development. This basically means when there's an El Nino developing or there's El Nino occurring, particularly for this year, we're expecting a moderate to strong El Nino season. Currently, it's developing and strengthening. When there's El Nino over in the Atlantic, it means that we can expect a bit more of vertical wind shear. And the vertical wind shear simply means that the winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere, it becomes stronger. And when it becomes stronger, this helps to disrupt the top of the tropical cyclone. So if there's a tropical storm in the area or a hurricane, it helps to shear off the top of it, and that disrupts the system and even helps with the development to be disrupted. So instead of it becoming more intensified, it will break it up or help it from not forming as strong as it can possibly form.
Okay. Is that why we're seeing or we're experiencing less rainfall over the past few months also?
Yes. When there's El Nino, it also can help with the suppression of rainfall activity over in the Atlantic. However, although it can be an El Nino season or El Nino situation happening across the Atlantic, it does not mean that it's impossible for tropical cyclones to form, because there are other factors that you need in order for the development of a tropical cyclone, such as warm sea surface temperatures. And currently in the Western Atlantic and the Caribbean, the sea surface temperatures are already above the normal thresholds. So once that situation continues, it is possible that we can have storm development. Another factor is a warm like moist atmosphere. So if the atmosphere also, there is warm sea surface temperature, if the atmosphere is moist and unstable, although there is El Nino and the top of the tropical cyclone can be sheared off, once these conditions are higher and more favorable, we can have tropical cyclone development, tropical storms. And I do have a few examples to be specific. In 2024, there was a weak El Nino. However, there was a Category 5 hurricane when there was Ivan, and that devastated Grenada, if many persons can remember. And a Category 5 hurricane is a major hurricane. In 2015, El Nino was strong. And there was another major hurricane, Hurricane Joaquin. It caused significant damages in the Bahamas. So although you can have a weak El Nino phase, strong El Nino phase, it's still possible once we have other conditions favorable, tropical cyclones, such as we have tropical wave, tropical depression, tropical storms, and hurricane, it's still possible for it to develop.
Now, when you look at 2017 is when we experienced La Nina, where we had a Hurricane Irma here.
Yes, when there is La Nina, it generally helps to give us more rainfall, and tropical cyclone development becomes more favorable because the air, it's more moist and it's more unstable during that time. So those conditions. But in 2023, we had another strong El Nino phase, and there was 20 named storms developed. 7 became hurricanes and 3 were major hurricanes. So imagine, it was a strong El Nino phase and we had 20 named storms, which is far above the average. And I must mention that the average for named storms is 14. The climatological average for the number of hurricanes during a year could possibly be 7, and for major hurricanes, 3.
What are we looking at this year?
For this year, you mentioned slightly above normal. However, according to the National Hurricane Center, we're looking at a little below average season. So it is 8 to 14 named storms, 3 to 6 hurricanes, and at least 3 of which can become major hurricanes.
So we shouldn't even consider letting our guard down.
No, we should
Never.
not leave our guard down, because the number of storms predicted, that does not matter as much as your level of preparedness. Because although it is predicted to be a little below the average, it is still possible that one storm impacting St.Maarten can give devastating impacts. So we can take into consideration the numbers, yes, but it is the level of impact. So persons need to be prepared. Don't make yourself vulnerable to these conditions, because some of the impacts from the tropical cyclones, we have rainfall, and we know rainfall in St.Maarten, any prolonged or intense rainfall, we get flooding. We can get major flooding. And the tropical cyclone does not necessarily even have to pass over St.Maarten directly. A few miles or a few hundred miles away from St.Maarten, based on its structure, we know the outside of the tropical cyclone, we have the spiral bands and the rain bands. The tropical cyclone spins counterclockwise, those rain bands. We have the clouds and the thunderstorms and the heavy rainfall that can cause flooding on St.Maarten. With it passing out there in the Atlantic, we can also have storm surge from the strong winds making the sea surface or the waters from the sea becoming abnormally high, and that can give us coastal flooding, beach erosion. So that also is some of the impact, and we know of the high winds.
Correct.
The high winds that can blow off persons' roofs, down trees, power lines. So persons, we just need to be prepared from now. Well, even before now, we should have been setting things in place, such as having our evacuation plan with our family, starting to save our, our little food stuff in advance, making
Stocking
our
up on-
first aid kits and,
Right.
and these things. So now we're at the beginning of the hurricane season. If persons haven't started, they can continue to preparing, cut the trees down, get your drains cleaned, and just be ready because remember, although it's set to be below normal,
Just takes one.
one single storm, one impact, and even it could be a tropical depression giving us extensive rainfall, flooding, all of that can
Right.
disrupt our daily lives.
Can the Saharan dust, because we've heard that in the past, but that's not really the case, that the Sahara dust actually suppresses the formation of these hurricanes or storms?
It does somewhat because when we have dust in the atmosphere, it helps to absorb the moisture. However, as I mentioned, for the development of a tropical cyclone, there are many factors. So although one factor may be hampered a bit, we still have the others to take into consideration. You may have some Saharan dust helping to absorb the moisture, but the sea surface temperatures is still predicted to be high. It's
Right.
already high.
Okay.
So these things can impact us.
Yeah.
And given that you mentioned the Saharan dust.
Yeah, let's talk about that because I have to take my meds every day.
Yes. So you're similar to me. Persons with asthma, allergies like
right.
myself and you,
Yeah.
persons with any respiratory illnesses, we need to take precautions because as time progresses, we can expect a bit more Saharan dust coming through the region. As we progress further in June and July, when it starts to peak a bit more, we can expect a bit more dust. And when there is more dust in the atmosphere, it can also get a bit more humid and the place will be a bit hotter.
Very hotter. Yeah,
And
very hot.
yes,
Yeah.
so before I shift to one of the impacts for that, I must say persons are, as I mentioned before, should take the necessary precautions. If you need to take medication, your doctor give you advice. I normally use a face mask, and we know COVID is over, but it can also help with
Yeah, but this dust
with,
really
with
was...
the dust. It is,
Yeah.
and it is expected to come across more. So it can help us a bit
Right.
with the suppression of the tropical cyclone activity development. However, it is not something that for sure will make tropical cyclones such as hurricanes and
Weaker.
tropical storms not develop at all.
Right.
So persons still need to take that into consideration. Now, with regards to the humidity, from June 1st to October, although during that part we are in the hurricane season, that period is also the Caribbean heat season. Yes. So with the place being hot and having the Saharan dust absorbing the moisture, we can expect high humidity. So persons during the Caribbean heat season should be aware that we can have heat waves. We've experienced intense heat wave in 2024. So we can have heat wave, heat exhaustion, and very prolonged hot days. And
And nights.
even warmer nights are
Nights.
expected. That's the prediction for the next few months. And we've already begun the Caribbean heat season, which is June to October.
Right.
So imagine we're having hot days, warm nights, place being dusty. Person should definitely take precautions. When it is very hot, we need to also hydrate more. Drink
Absolutely.
more water. Do not wait until you are
Thirsty.
very thirsty.
To drink, yeah.
No, because it is not good. You can have different health complications
Side
because
effects
of
of
the
that.
heat. And we
Right.
have some vulnerable persons in the community. We have the elderly, we have young children, we have the persons who work outdoors.
That too.
Yes,
yeah,
we have,
that too,
and
right.
then there are also people with underlying health complications.
All right,
I guess
yeah.
persons who are hypertensive. You're in the sun for prolonged period of times. You can start getting headaches. You can get heat stroke.
Yeah.
All of these conditions, and you can also get sunburn. You can get sunburn from being outside for
So you
long
would advise
periods.
people to walk with an umbrella?
Yes,
To protect them?
yes.
Yeah.
You can walk with an umbrella well, at least to me, umbrella is not only for rainy season.
Exactly.
I do not want to be exposed to any skin, skin impact from the sunshine and high heat that we're expected, the UV rays. So persons can also wear light clothing, light colored clothing.
No black.
Well, unless they want to burn up, black is not
really
a good
attracts the
idea.
heat, right?
Black absorbs heat, so that would not be a good idea. So you can wear, I guess, more white and light colored clothing.
Right.
We already mentioned to hydrate. We can stick to the shade whenever possible. And I know persons are worried about their electricity bill these days, but you would most likely need to crank up those ACs. Be more in air-conditioned areas in order to cool yourself down.
Yeah, very much so.
And remember to do not leave any elderly, children or pets in locked vehicles. It is not a good idea, because if outside is hot, imagine inside a vehicle that is locked.
Okay.
In the hot sun.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Persons may most likely not survive that.
Okay.
Even pets.
This usually is the rainy season in Africa, because almost all the storms are coming off the coast of Africa. But we're experiencing a lot of Saharan storms, and which of course is coming over to our area. Global climate change plays a very major impact, plays a big role in all of this as well, doesn't it?
Yes, with climate change, what we've been noticing, it is like the heat season, we're having more intense heat season. When there's the hurricane season, more intense storms. So although there may be some conditions unfavorable for development based on how certain atmospheric and oceanographic parameters are, that is still making these systems form. So although I guess in the very far in the past, you may not have had such intense storms. Now these things are still being developed, and it is becoming more intense over this period. And climate change certainly has some part to play. Because globally in 2024, it was the hottest year on record. It was climatologically the hottest year on record. And this heat season, we are expecting it to become hot again.
You're right.
And as I mentioned, although we'll be in an El Nino phase, it's still possible to have many named storms formed, and even intense storms despite Saharan that's being present.
Correct.
So persons must take precaution, be aware, and that is leading me to a very important point. When persons are to be aware, they must be aware of where they are getting information from, and the information.
Right, I was about to say that the common signs of a false alarm storm that we might see hyped on social media.
Yes, everyone is following almost anybody that gives them some information, but you need to know where to get the official information from. And when you do get information, verify that it is authentic, that it is from the recognized source, and that you do not just go about spreading false rumor.
Right.
As soon as, sometimes in the past I've noticed, as soon as maybe a tropical storm, a little disturbance, a block of cloud comes off the course of Africa, there's a rumor that goes out that, a tropical storm is coming to St.Maarten. The meteorological department has not said anything. We do not want to cause any panic across the island.
Sensationalism.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do not want to cause people to panic, because it's not every information as soon as something happens. We need to be sure of the path. And given these system, it's based on the strength. And as a meteorologist, there are many things you need to take into consideration. The strength of the system, its path, and all of these things has to be considered before you just share and have people panicking, because as we know, as time progresses, the atmospheric conditions can change. And if things change, it can cause a system to either to not intensify as expected, or it can also change path. We may have said that within the next 24 hours, it is expected to pass 50 miles northeast of St.Maarten. However, the sea surface temperatures just start decreasing a little bit, and instead of coming closer to St.Maarten, further out, there's where the waters are warmer, and that is where the conditions are more favorable for it to develop.
Right.
And it steers towards where it is going to get more energy.
Correct. Right.
So, and then persons can become upset and be like, oh, we
did all
give
this preparation. Correct.
But it is better to prepare and be ready in order to weather any storm that comes by.
Right. So another thing I think probably that you are at the Met Office are concerned about is AI-generated videos that are also playing a major role on social media lately. So some people can't distinguish what is real and what is fake.
Yes, I know many persons, they get duped into believing everything they see on social media these days, especially with artificial intelligence being out there. However, the Meteorological Department of St.Maarten, we are the official source to produce weather information and also marine information, because we do give advisories for the marine industry, such as small craft advisories, high surf advisories, and things of that nature. We have a website, we have a Facebook page, we have a WhatsApp channel, and also we have our office telephone numbers, where if a person is unsure, they can actually call our office.
Someone will pick up the phone.
So I do have the list of the sources where I can just mention it for persons.
Please do.
Our website, it is www.meteosxm.com, and that is meteosxm.com, and that is our website. We would produce our special weather bulletin, that is whether we have an advisory, a watch, or a warning out in effect, and we have that for the different parameters. Our Facebook page is SXM Weather. In the search bar, you can just type in SXM WEATHER, and you can find our Facebook page. You can follow it. You can also share with your friends and family so that they will have the information. We also have our WhatsApp channel. You can, on WhatsApp, you can go in the search bar there too, where there's a channel, and it is the Meteorological Department St.Maarten. And we have our telephone you can call, which is 721-545-4226, and that is 721-545-4226.
How many persons are manning the station on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, well, our meteorological department, it operates 24/7, and we have a meteorological observer on duty, and we also have the meteorologist on duty. But also we do have our administrative section, where we do have climatologists on duty, and we also do have other support staff, other meteorologists that has role. So although there is a meteorologist and an observer, in the event there is any high activity.
Right.
If there is any system coming, we already have additional persons on staff that can give support. And if we need more persons to come in on duty, then we can maybe double up.
Right.
So on a norm, we have 2 persons at the operations section. However, during the hurricane season, especially during the peak, we can have more persons as support staff helping, because as I've given the information for persons to contact us or to access the information, we need to have these things updated and be current. So we need extra support staff to have it there. So we need someone to especially man the telephones because everyone wants to know if the system definitely is going to come to St. Maarten or if it is how close it's going to pass. You can call
because you give all the coordinates, and a lot of people can't understand the coordinates.
Yes, although it is good to call. However, there are these other sources that you can use too. You can check our Facebook page. We do have that, so you do not need to call every day. You can check our Facebook page. And then there's our WhatsApp channel. We use our WhatsApp channel, and our updates, we would send it out when we have a special weather bulletin, whether we have a watch, a warning, or an advisory, or whether we have an outlook of something we notice that may affect us in the next few days. We would put out an alert so persons can know to be prepared. If you follow our WhatsApp channel, you most likely will not be duped by something AI you saw on another on another social media platform, because you would be on our WhatsApp channel and you would get the information right to your phone that says within the next 3 or 4 days or over the weekend we can expect more dust coming, for example, because we did send an alert out before, so some persons were prepared. So now persons are aware. You can follow our WhatsApp channel, the Meteorological Department, St.Maarten.
All right, let's talk about earthquakes, because sending out alerts, and especially when the weather is hot like this and there's not enough moisture in the earth or the soil, or just simply put, can the heat also trigger earthquakes? I mean, from a meteorological perspective or a scientific perspective, so to speak.
Okay, with regards to earthquake, the earthquake is not actually under the field of meteorology. It is seismicology.
I don't know what said me there, but I was just thinking we talk about the weather.
I think you probably are thinking, like you said, with the atmosphere and also the place
dry
being dry.
So
but
it shifts
earthquakes has more to do with plate tectonics, and that in turn is not based on atmospheric impacts. So that would be an entirely other field. So what I can say about that,
they all came together basically because you're talking about weather, and because when the weather is dry and hot,
soil,
the plates will shift because of the heat too.
Yes, well, because what I can say about that, because the place is dry and also you expect more heat. What I can say, anybody who is involved with agriculture, they should think about water preservation and how they're going to get their soil moist for that. But in terms of earthquake, it's a very complex topic. Our meteorological department, we may issue the information after an earthquake, but it's not but it's not directly our responsibility to give an alert on whether an earthquake will be happening within a specific time. And also, meteorology is already a science that is complex, and it's not an exact science. So imagine with earthquake, it's a bit more, I guess, I don't want to use the word easier, but we can, to a good extent, we can make some prediction based on climatological information. We can use atmospheric oceanographic information to give a weather prediction. But earthquake, that is...
We can't get into the nitty-gritty of that.
No, that is. So persons, but you can prepare to what extent. I guess similar to how we would stock up on certain things at home. You can stock up, so in the event there's an earthquake, you have you have certain things at your disposal, like you have extra food. But I'm also hoping, praying to God, that St. Maarten is not impacted by an earthquake. We're already in the Atlantic, the 2026 Atlantic hurricane season. We're progressing into the at the Caribbean heat season from June to October. Then we have Saharan dust is expected to increase a bit, and then we're expected to have some El Nino, which may help to suppress tropical cyclone activity. However, we still need to be prepared because just one storm can impact us.
Yeah. How often, though, do we see major hurricanes hitting the same location? For example, we had 95, we had Lewis, and then we see 27, then when we had our first major hurricane, and then it took us almost 20 years before we got it.
It feels that way because
they're going to happen more frequent, though.
Yes, because we're having. Well, you did mention climate change, so
Correct.
These things are happening more often, and as I mentioned, also more intense. So although St.Maarten may have been spared for quite a while, other islands in the Caribbean has not been so lucky. St.Maarten did not get any significant impact last year. However, Jamaica was hit by Category 5, which is a major hurricane, Hurricane Melissa, and it devastated part of the island.
Puerto Rico, Maria.
Yes. Then we had, in recent years, we had Hurricane Dorian.
That was the Bahamas,
yes,
right?
The Bahamas. And I mentioned Hurricane Ivan, Grenada, Hurricane Joaquin, the Bahamas again. So although St.Maarten may have been spared from being directly impacted, we know that also in recent years we also had flooding from just tropical depression passing
right.
north of the area. So remember that not just direct impact we should prepare for. We are in the hurricane season. If any tropical cyclone pass close to us, near to us, or even the distance of us, we have different impacts that can make it devastating for St.Maarten. As I mentioned, prolonged rainfall, intense rainfall, we can have flash flooding, and we know St.Maarten floods easily.
Real quick.
We can have a tropical cyclone passing a bit of distance away from us. We have the high winds. We can have the storm surge from the water rising abnormally high out there along our coast. And we've seen what can happen to the boardwalk, Great Bay Beach, other beaches there. Maho Beach, sometimes Maho Beach disappears.
Yeah, like
from
with
that.
Irma.
And it does not necessarily have to be the hurricane or tropical cyclone passing directly over us.
Right, when it passes close to us, you see the
we have
tide
high sea surf
right.
and all of that. So persons are to be prepared, and I do have something that I would like for persons to take into consideration and note that you're listening for the information from the Meteorological Department as the official source. However, you must know difference between a watch and a warning.
I was getting to that, so go ahead.
Yes, we have tropical storm watch, tropical storm warning, hurricane watch, and hurricane warnings. So when you hear watch, that means that you need to be prepared, start preparing, because that condition is possible. So if you're a tropical storm watch or a hurricane watch, it means that either tropical storm conditions are expected across St.Maarten or hurricane conditions are expected across St.Maarten. And that is usually issued within, I think, 36 hours of the expected impacts. And for the warning means, well, the watch means conditions are possible. Conditions are possible. And the warnings are conditions are expected. So if you hear tropical storm warning or hurricane warning, it means that the condition is expected at least within the next 48 hours. So 48 hours in advance, we try to issue our watches and warnings, and it means people are to rush to completion. Any little thing that you did not complete, get it completed as soon as possible. And wait an official update from the Meteorological Department, or you have the government of St.Maarten. They also have their Facebook page and website where they would also share the information. So those
Okay.
are official sources for information.
Something we've seen also is that in the past, that the hurricanes would take a while before they actually build up the
Yes.
strength. Waters are warmer now.
Yes.
So what probably starts like let's say for example we have a hurricane, God forbid, approaching the island, and we'll be like, okay, it's a category 2, and usually by the time it gets to us it's probably a 4 or 5.
Yes.
So
yes, that can be.
How prepared can you be? Because you're hearing that the hurricane is actually a Cat 2, but then by the time you prepare for a Cat 2, you're looking at, oh gosh, and that's something that happened with Irma too. We just turn around and boom, I think it was also Gonzalo also
Yes,
did that.
Gonzalo.
It was Gonzalo also did that to us.
I'm also happy that you mentioned Gonzalo, because one of the names on the list this year is Gonzalo again. Although we did have Gonzalo,
Yeah.
the list
So
of names.
why are you repeating that?
Yeah, so the list of names are repeated every 6 years. However,
6 years.
if a tropical cyclone cause devastation, so economic impact or loss of life and damages, that name is retired, taken from the list, struck from the list, and a name replaces it. When there was Gonzalo, there was not significant impact. There was not extensive loss of life, or there was no total loss on a country in terms of infrastructure devastation or billions of economic loss. So Gonzalo, he performed a bit.
Yeah, because
He performed a bit.
Right.
I recall, because I did got a tree branch through one of my windows
that
of
was
my car.
The hurricane was just to destroy all the trees.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, the
yeah.
trees.
Right.
So, like you mentioned, things can be coming across, and how can we be prepared? If you prepare in advance,
you don't have to be rushing
you
around.
would not need to rush,
Last
because all of my documents, they're already in plastic bags, they're in their container.
Check your hurricane
Yes,
shutters.
you need to check your hurricane shutters. I know many people, they might be talking about the economic crisis and not being able to buy food. You do not necessarily have to go and do big shopping. Just small portions in advance.
A special here, 3
Yes,
cans
a
of
little.
this, 3
Anytime
cans of
there's a little
corned beef.
anytime there's a little sale, you buy
Take advantage of it.
your and especially given that it's non-perishable things you're trying to
Correct.
get, things that do not spoil quickly. You just buy your things
Put them in the
advance.
pantry.
Cut your trees down from now. So if you hear a tropical cyclone coming and it's just a tropical depression, and next day you hear, wow, it's a tropical storm,
Right.
and then we have to issue a tropical storm warning because conditions are favorable for it to become a hurricane as it
right.
passes our area, you are already prepared. So if you hear a hurricane warning, which means conditions are expected, you already there, safe,
Exactly.
ready to ride it out.
Kick into
So the
action.
best thing to do is be prepared. Although it is predicted for it to be a below normal season, I am imploring to people
I
to
don't
do
trust
not
none.
be complacent.
Yeah.
Any system that pass, and it doesn't even have to be the full system, an area of disturbance, cloudiness with rainfall, thunder, prolonged rainfall activity,
Correct.
you can get devastation on the island from flooding. You see how the place floods. So
Right.
persons, remember to be prepared, be aware, and be ready to take action. Follow the official source for weather information, St.Maarten Meteorological Department, our website, www.meteosxm.com, our WhatsApp channel, Meteorological Department St.Maarten, our Facebook page, SXM Weather, and you can call our office in the event that you really need some information if you do not possibly maybe did not get on to the thing. But
Right.
follow our WhatsApp channel and encourage others to do so. Do not spread false information. Don't go to Weather for Less or Weather for this website or channel, be duped by AI, and don't not follow the meteorological department information and say that that meteorologist was on the radio, Karishina, she was on the radio, and now we have this system coming across and she never said anything.
Right.
If you do not follow our information, you can't. Please don't come and blame Karishina.
I hear you. The forecast, the daily forecast, like for example, when you mention in the forecast, or not you, but meteorological department actually sends out the issue, the bulletin of the forecast on a daily basis.
Yes.
Sometimes it's mentioned that there's rain in the forecast, flooding, and what have you. And when do you actually see that change? Because if I sit here, and I know people have told me on several occasions that, yeah, you said it was going to rain and it didn't rain. What are the chances of all of that changing between the time that it was issued, the bulletin was issued, or the notice was issued, to the time that it is actually not published, but by the time we announce it?
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that, we do publish our weather forecast 3 times per day, 6 a.m., 12 p.m., and 12. And this is where we need the partnership and collaboration from the media industry also. Excuse me. When we do issue the information, it would be good for the information to also be shared on time, because sometimes when the weather forecast is shared, and this is a personal experience, on my way to work in the morning and I'm listening to the wonderful radio station, I'm hearing a forecast that I would have given from the day before.
Wow.
That update, when the conditions would have already passed, or it would have already been affecting people and persons. I guess they would think that, oh, the Met Office are always late. So that is another reason why we're urging persons to follow our pages, follow our official sources. So as soon as we publish it, you can see it or you can get it.
Right.
Because not always it is being shared on time.
Okay.
When it is given to the
right. So this one that says
sources.
Today's date is June 4, 2026, and I got the public forecast, which I read every morning. So this is coming directly from the Meteorological Department, St.Maarten.
Yes, and that would also be on our website.
Okay.
So if persons just go to our website, and we would, and we have cute little graphics now, so persons can just go to our Facebook page.
People like pictures.
Yes, instead of reading the entire long forecast,
Right.
many persons like to go read the synopsis to know if it is a trough affecting us.
Yeah.
They just want to know if rain is going to fall or sun is going to shine. Is
Same
it
with a
going to
hurricane.
be
Same
hot
with a
or
hurricane.
not with the hurricane?
Yeah,
So,
is it coming or is it going to...
Yes.
How close it is to us? Don't give me coordinates. Tell
so
me.
our Facebook
Right.
and our WhatsApp channel, you can get it in smaller bites, brief. But on
Yeah.
our website, you can also get it in detailed form. So these things, it requires collaboration, but also atmospheric conditions. Sometimes, as we mentioned, the sea surface temperature with tropical cyclone development.
And it can change at the
can
drop
have,
of a dime also.
Yes, you mentioned the El Nino, that is, it helps to suppress, but it does not make tropical cyclone development, obsolete during the hurricane season. So although we may put an advisory out, conditions can change. So it is just best to be prepared.
Be on your guard.
Yes, be on your guard,
line.
be prepared, and get ready.
So we have a total of 14 named storms this year. How many named storms?
That is just the prediction
Right.
based on our condition now. Based on what the atmosphere is showing now, what the sea surface temperature now, they're predicting it's possible for us to get 8 to 40 named storms, 3 to 6 hurricanes, of which it's possible to get 3 major hurricanes. But as we mentioned, once the atmospheric and oceanographic conditions are favorable, it's possible to even get more. Although we're in an El Nino phase and it is developing, expected to be possibly moderate to strong during the peak of the hurricane season. As I mentioned before, there are years when it was very strong and we had 20 named storms. So just don't worry.
The alphabet.
So just don't think of the numbers only 14.
Only.
Only
that word,
14
yeah.
or up to. If conditions are favorable, we can go beyond that.
Right.
So there's the list of the hurricane name, the tropical cyclone names for 2026. I'd like to share that
Sure.
with people.
Please go ahead.
So you can hear. So the names are as follows. We have Arthur, Bertha, Cristobal, Dolly, Edward, Faye, Gonzalo, Hannah, Isaias, Josephine, Kyle, Leah, Marco, Nana, Omar, Paulette, Renee, Sally, Teddy, Vicky, and Wilfred.
Okay.
So those are the names, and now the National Hurricane Center, they also produces supplementary lists, but let us think of these.
This is what it is for right now.
Yes,
Right.
yes. And let us pray not to exhaust the list, and as they predicted, a below normal Atlantic hurricane season. Let us hope that is actually below normal, but still prepare and be prepared, be aware, and get ready to take any action if the meteorological department issue an alert.
Right, because it's when we talk about alertness, then you get more. You start to pay more you start to pay closer attention
yes.
when we started hit mid-August going into September.
The peak, yes, because the peak of the hurricane season is August, mid-August to October. And September is the peak, especially around September 10th.
Man, oh man.
The peak, and St.Maarteners, we've had our experience in September. Whoever is much older, September 1995, September 2017.
Right? Yeah, boy.
But be prepared for the entire hurricane season, June 1st to November 30th.
Absolutely. Got to get ready.
Yes.
Of course, we look forward to the meteorological department, you along with the rest of your team, of course, to keep us updated. As we approach the term of the mid-August to September, the peak of the season, to actually be out here and to share more information about because anything could change anytime. So I am not basically saying that, like you said, don't say because it's El Nino that things cannot develop or things can't change. There's always a possibility that things could change. I don't want it to change, but hey.
Yes, that's a major misconception because there's El Nino, we won't get any storm affecting us, or because we have Saharan dust, we won't get It doesn't work like that. There's certain conditions that need to be in place. If some of them, even if it's just some of them are there, the warm sea surface temperatures, the atmosphere moist and unstable, and there's lighter winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere, any or some of those conditions, it can help with a tropical cyclone development.
Right. Now, when we talk about evacuations, though, what is the time window for evacuations to take place?
Okay. As I mentioned, persons are to be prepared always, but persons should take into consideration the alert. We have the watches and the warnings. Normally, the warnings are when more significant impacts are expected. So, with that being said, if you're prepared and you hear an alert has changed from an advisory to watch, or from a watch, once it gets to a warning, based on the potential impacts, a person may need to evacuate if they're in a vulnerable area. So I am not fully aware of all of the vulnerable areas on St.Maarten, but persons, they just need to be prepared. So when you hear a warning, and if the impacts are for conditions that require evacuation, you need to listen to the official source. There's all the government of St.Maarten with their disaster preparedness office. and they, from the information we share with them, because we're in collaboration, they would make the decision on whether or not a specific area would need to evacuate. The Meteorological Department of St. Maarten does not give that order. So we share the information with them, and they'll be able to know if within a certain time frame persons would be able or may be able to evacuate from that specific area, because when you have flash flooding, waters can be rushing, you can have rock slide, landslide, and all of these conditions. So the disaster office would most likely be more, aware of the vulnerabilities of these areas, and would be able to advise better on who can evacuate and if it's safe for a person to evacuate within a specific time frame.
All right. What about your trusted weather models? You use the GFS model?
Oh, we use many models. Yeah, we have international models like the European model, GFS model. We have more regional models we use, for example, from Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology. We have from meteorological department, or from the French also. We have models from there. But in order to inform the public, we also have our radar here in St. Maarten. It's not a model, but we do have a functioning radar where we can see when activity is within a certain range of the island.
Okay.
And we do have a composite of radars within the Caribbean that we would look at the images and can see from certain distances. We also use satellite imagery where we can see something,
something is lurking out there
as it develops. So we do take model information, but you do need conceptual model, which is our minds. We do need to analyze it, because models, it's computer generated. We need the information from our offices around the world to input that information, and it just gives a prediction. But it does not necessarily take into consideration your local conditions. The global model will not pick up St. Peter's Hill. So if a cloud is coming and you have orographic lift and there's rainfall on the other side, the radar will not be able to pick up these smaller scale things.
Okay.
So we need persons who are, from the region that will be able to understand the local conditions, local atmospheric conditions in order. So we do use the models, but we don't take the model information and take it as gospel. We need to apply our intellectual abilities to make our analysis and do our calculations, know what is St. Maarten local condition. The model won't be able to say, okay, St. Maarten gets hotter around this time, or so we need persons who are here and local. So many persons, this person's from this person or persons from America. They know because the model showed them. But those people do not live in St. Maarten.
Right.
So they do not know our conditions here. When the winds are coming from southeasterly, how when it bounces off of St. Bart's and coming to St. Maarten, that would give us showers. So a global model, a regional model, that does give you an idea, but you also need to take into consideration local atmospheric conditions.
Right. Are you capable to actually detect when there's a cloudburst? Because we've had that in the past where unsuspected rainfall and it turned really rapidly into a flooding here on St. Maarten. Can the meteorological department also detect that?
We can, because we do have our radar, and on the radar, based on what you notice, it's more of a meteorologist thing. So when we look at certain elements on our radar, we'll be able to tell if this is something with strong convective activity, as in like a thunderstorm cloud, because downburst comes from mostly thunderstorm clouds. So on the radar, we can see some of those things also on satellite imagery. And based on how it is moving across the area, we can do some calculations and can possibly tell sometimes in advance.
Okay. Kashina Gordon, meteorologist. Kashina Gordon, Miss Kashina Gordon, my guest this morning, representing, of course, speaking on behalf of the Meteorological Department of St.Maarten. And, of course, if there's anything else you'd like to share with the radio listeners before we wrap it up today.
Yes, we are in the...
I really enjoyed talking to you this morning. Yeah, hadn't seen you in a long time.
Yes, but I am here, and as a meteorologist, I am excited for the hurricane season. However, I am also excited for persons to follow the meteorological department for the information and not spread any rumors or false information this year. Excuse me. I am excited for people to check out our Facebook page and to be happy when they receive a WhatsApp message in advance because they are on our WhatsApp channel, and if they're in any doubt they can still call our office. So I'm excited for that, and I am so happy to be here today that I can share the information so persons will know that although we are in the Atlantic hurricane season from June 1st to November 30th, and we are also in the Caribbean heat season from June to October, and we are expecting it to be a little hotter with prolonged hot days and warmer nights, that people are going to be prepared. They are prepared now, and they're going to continue prepare. And when they hear about a watch and a warning, they'll know watch means conditions are possible. Warning means conditions are expected. And although something may develop and they'll have a little time to prepare or a little time to evacuate, they would have already been prepared way in advance because they did listen to the meteorological department.
There you go.
St.Maarten and the government of St.Maarten official pages that they send out the alerts.
Real quick before you go, the Saharan dust, how many more days and weeks will we be experiencing this?
Okay, so the Saharan dust. Right now we're experiencing a bit of lighter concentration that we did earlier in the week because I'm still suffering from a bit of cough with this.
Yeah.
However, as time progressed during this hurricane season and the hot season, at least as we continue in June, July, and August, we can expect an increase in Saharan dust coming across. So persons with asthma, allergies, or any respiratory illnesses, like myself with the allergies, we are to be prepared also for that. So just be prepared for the heat, be prepared for tropical cyclone activity, and if you have any issue with dust, be prepared for that too. Just be prepared, be aware by following our meteorological department and government channels to the official source of weather information, and just be ready to take action when advised to do so.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Lady Grace. It was a pleasure being here after such a long time.
Don't be a stranger, all right?
Yes.
And you won't tell me no earthquakes because I have to call somebody who knows about earthquakes.
Yes,
right.
not
Okay.
much.
All right. To my viewers, of course, my Facebook viewers, thank you all so much for tuning in this morning.